Hello, I'm Don Hartley, also known as the Catholic Defender, and today we are here at Fort Hood at the museum. We're outdoors, and what a beautiful monument that we have in honor of our soldiers here that have served in Iraq, again, Operation Iraqi Freedom, which I was over there between 2006 through 2010. And I have a story of an episode that took place while I was in Iraq that I think is very interesting. During my time in Iraq, most of my time was spent, of course, on my job, being a combat medic, being the medical platoon sergeant of the 1st Cav Division, 2-5 1st Cav Division. My priority was the care of soldiers, the care of my battalion, the care of my medics. And so that was what my first aim was to the defense of the medical coverage of our soldiers. But as time was given to us, I was able to participate in RCIA, teaching and instructing soldiers who were wanting to become Catholic, which was very important. And I was involved in Bible studies, and I supported our Catholic priest, who was basically covering our division, the whole division. So we were just a small portion of that division, but I was moved up by Father as far as the religious aspect of it to be more of a support for the division. And so I was involved with the RCIA and Bible studies locally in our battalion area, as well as for the division at the division chapel. And so that's important because what would take place in 2006, 2007, that particular deployment, which was a 15-month deployment, our Catholic priest was being brought up on charges for kiddie porn. And the division actually had the division commander, the division chaplain. You had a lot of high brass people that were going after Father because of what they believed and what they found on his computer. And so they had all these people doing all this investigation on everything about his computer, about him, and everything else. And I was asked to be his defense. And so you had on one hand, on the prosecution for this, they were trying to actually get Father where they were actually going to do a court-martial on him and really take him out. This would really affect his ministry, totally, his personal ministry. And so you had all this high brass, all these, you had a general, you had all these colonels, you had all these high-ranking, influential people that were going after Father. And this was a several months project. This was taking place for several months. And as it turned out, I was the lone member of the defense. And so basically, in this 15-month period, there was no way, I didn't know what was being accused of him, what he was being accused of until later, until actually was involved in the actual court. And I was the last person brought in to testify. And so that morning, the morning of the testimony, when everybody was, when the court was actually in process, I gave Father a little prayer book of the Stations of the Cross, because all these accusations that was being thrown at him, it was piercing his heart. He was at the point of tears, Father was. I gave him this prayer book to give him strength through it. And when I went in there, it really boiled down to, there was a number of pictures that had been pushed, basically in a time span, like 120 pictures in a span of about 5 minutes. Bam, 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 bam. And they had this thing so centered. It was the 7th of April, 2007, which was an important date. I think it was also at 7 o'clock. That's how they had this thing down to detail. 7 o'clock on the 7th of April, 2007, 777. But anyway, which going into this court case and how that applied to me personally, how I was able to speak for Father, I was able to show that on that day, at that time, Father was at our local warrior chapel that was supporting our battalion. And he was up there specifically for Holy Week services. This was a Tuesday night. And so at 7 o'clock he had been hearing confessions, preparing for his 7 o'clock service. Now where his computer was and where the division chapel was, 15 minutes away if you go by foot, which is what he did. And so there was no way that Father could have been guilty of what they were attacking him of. And it turned out that apparently the chaplain assistant had actually done this. The chaplain assistant didn't even show up there that night. And so all this talk and all this investigation and all this accusation, they were after him. They really believed that he was guilty. And could you just imagine another Catholic priest being accused of something of this nature, and how this could have been out there in the public eye? But in this case, our Catholic priest was totally innocent, and I was able to, he was acquitted of this action because I was able to show that he was, and this was truth. We could show that by schedule that he was there at the chapel at that time. And so it was a great opportunity to take a stand for Christ. It was an opportunity to take a stand for one of his shepherds. Something about the division chaplain. The division chaplain was what I would call a Calvinist Presbyterian, and as a result of this happening, he became more and more interested in the Catholic faith because of a couple of things. One thing I will add to this story, I was preparing a number of soldiers for their first Holy Communion, and the morning that they were going to receive their first Holy Communion, I gathered them together and basically was reminding them that what they were getting ready to receive was not just a symbol, as John Calvin had taught in 1565, that it's just a symbol, a memorial, but this is the actual body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ that we are receiving. And they are going to receive Christ sacramentally for the first time, to renew the covenant, to begin and establish the covenant in their lives that Christ established. What Jesus says in Matthew 26, he says, "For this is the cup of my blood, the blood of the new and everlasting covenant, be shed for you and for all, so that sins may be forgiven. Do this in memory of me." And so I began to tell this, just to remind our soldiers, just to encourage them what we were getting ready to do. And the division chaplain was, I guess, in the background, and he heard me. And he pulled me to the side, and he asked me if I would talk to him for just a moment. And I went back in there with him to talk, and he asked me, what do I think of Jack Chick? Which I thought was kind of an interesting question, because I basically told him, well, Jack Chick is a liar and a fraud. Christianity Today had exposed him as being a fraud. He claims to, Alberto Rivera claims to have been an ex-Catholic priest, ordained in Madrid, sent to Brazil to undermine Protestant churches. And what Christianity Today showed was that at the same time that he was claiming this, he was really in the Caribbean at a Protestant seminary, married with 2 kids. And so I was exposing Jack Chick for who he was, and it just took the division chaplain back. He wasn't expecting that. What I said about John Calvin was true, and I wasn't making an attack on John Calvin. I simply wanted to make a distinction between what we as Catholics believe in receiving the Eucharist versus what Protestants have accepted in John Calvin's teaching that he believes it is symbolic and a memorial. But as a result of this, the division chaplain became very interested, and as a result of some of our talks, he was, on last report, on his way to the Catholic faith. And so that is what we are all about in defending the Catholic faith, to explain the Catholic faith. That's what Deeper Truth is all about. Deeper Truth, when you look at what our name means, when you go to Luke chapter 5, verse 4, Jesus invites Peter to take out the boat out into the deep so that they could catch the fish that that's what they're set out to do. Well, we take that spiritually. We're invited to take our boat out into the deep so we can cast our nets out into the water, and we can delve into these deep mysteries of our faith. And it is rich. And the Catholic faith is bringing many back home to it. Many people are coming back home to the Catholic faith, and many Protestant ministers, such as our division chaplain was, who is now on his road to the Catholic faith. And so we have so much to be thankful for, and I want to thank you all again for supporting us and being a part of Deeper Truth and helping us get this word out. And so for all of the members of Deeper Truth, the Catholic Defender, we'll sign off, and until the next time, God bless you.